Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Slabu point of sale demo. Today, I'm going to take you through some of the basic features of the point of sale, what your servers and cashiers are going to be using, our different service types, some of the different features on our checkout screen, and also some of the manager functions that we'll want to take a look at later on. So I'm going to start just by logging in. I have my username and password entered. These are specific to my account. And when I tap on login, it's going to start by asking me which tablet mode I would like to use. We have terminal and table side. I'm going to use terminal for this presentation. It's the full suite of features. It has everything that Labu has to offer. Table side is a more stripped down version of the point of sale. It's going to have everything that you need for ringing up orders and sending them to the kitchen, but not much else. Most notably, what's going to be missing are the checkout screen and the time clock feature. So your employees would not be able to clock in and out on a table side device. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as terminal. And the first thing we're going to see is my default service layout. This is the quick serve menu. This is great for fast food restaurants if you need to make an order, take a payment, and send it to the kitchen all at the same time. This is going to be the service layout you want to use. Now, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, I have this menu button that I can use. It says quick serve right now, but if I tap on it, it brings up this side navigation menu that's going to allow me to navigate to different areas of the application. Most notably are the two different service layouts that we offer. Tables is going to be more geared towards a traditional dine-in restaurant. I can start an order by selecting the table and saying how many guests are going to be eating at this table. From the map, we can see there are two different colors that we see. A gray table is going to be one that is available. A blue table is going to be something that indicates an order has been taken, an order has been started. It's pretty early on. There's another color that's green that's going to tell you whether or not a check has been printed. So that could indicate that the table is about to leave or is about to wrap up. You can customize this completely to match whatever the layout of your actual restaurant is. You can also divide up the area into multiple rooms. So if you want to separate your indoor from your outdoor seating, or if you just want to separate your indoor seating into multiple rooms to make it easier to manage. The other service layout you can use is the tabs layout. This is perfect for bars and bartenders. This is great if you have your customers come in and they don't sit at specific tables, they just kind of wander around your restaurant. And instead of having tables to look them up by, you can use their names. That green plus button in the bottom left corner is how I'll start a new tab. I can type in the customer's name, I can type in a phone number, whatever it is I want to use to identify them with. Another option you could do is a pre-authorization. You could swipe a customer's credit or debit card and it will automatically pull the first and last name off of that card and create a tab with it. Another feature with pre-authorizations is that you can charge a small dollar amount to check that the card is legitimate, to check that it has a bank account connected to it, and also to use at the end of their order when you want to cash them out. You don't need to swipe that card a second time. You do it once at the beginning to start the tab, and then when you close it, it'll capture that authorization for the full amount of the bill. Regardless of where you start, you're always going to end up at the menu. Navigating the menu is very easy to do. At the top, we have our menu groups. For me, that's entrees, pizza, appetizers, and so on. Each menu group is then divided up into different categories. In entrees, I have seafood, steak, chicken and pork, and pastas. And of course, each category is going to have your menu items. To add an item to your order, simply tap on it, and it'll get added to the order pad on the left-hand side. For some items, it's as simple as just selecting it. For other items, there might be more that is needed for the kitchen staff to complete the order. So if I ring up a steak, for example, my point of sale is set up so that it asks how I want that steak cooked. This is called a forced modifier. This is something that the kitchen needs to know in order to prepare the meal. There are also optional modifiers that you'll see. If I ring up one of my burgers here, I've got my forced modifiers, of course, how I want the burger cooked and the side that I want. But I also have these optional modifiers. This is great for substitutions. If someone doesn't want lettuce on their burger, but they want extra, let's say, tomatoes on their burger, you can easily say no lettuce plus tomato. Add to order, and you can see how clearly that is laid out. All of your menu items, groups and categories and modifiers, all of those are completely customizable to fit whatever you might need. The only thing that's really not customizable here are going to be in your optional modifiers where it says no plus inside. Those are hard coded into the application and need to be there for optional modifiers to work. So those you can't change, but everything else is fair game. Next, let's take a look at the checkout screen. I'll tap checkout in the bottom left corner there. Now the checkout screen is customizable. In the bottom right section, I've got my buttons for cash card, discount void, other, and gratuity. This layout can be configured however you want. You can have a maximum of 8 buttons, 4 per row, and you can move them around to see whatever would best suit your cashiers and their workflow. If I were to tap on one of these payment methods like cash or card, it will by default charge the amount due. So if I'm taking a cash transaction, let's say, if I just hit cash, it's going to charge for $45.81. I'm not going to have any change information. So if I have a customer who's giving me a $50 bill, I'll first want to type it in using the keypad and then hit cash. That is what's going to give me the change option here. I'm going to get a printer error message. Ignore that. I just don't have a printer connected to my iPad at the current moment. I'll select no receipt, and that cashes out and closes the transaction. Something else I want to show you on the checkout screen are a couple of the other buttons that we see here. Discounts are a big one. This discount button right here is going to apply what's called a check level discount. So it'll discount the entire order. If I wanted to discount just a specific item on my order, I simply need to tap on it. So if I tap on salmon with avocado salsa, I get the option to discount that specific item. Now what we see here, I have a couple of discounts already created in my control panel. These are set for specific dollar amounts or percentages. If I don't want to use any of those or I need to do something kind of off the beaten path, I can select either percentage or amount, and these are called generic discounts. These are going to allow you to add whatever amount you want, whatever dollar amount, whatever percentage to discount for your check or your item, depending on how you're applying it. The other button that we have here is for gratuity. This is also something that is set up in the control panel, and this button acts like a toggle. If I tap it, it applies gratuity. If I tap it again, it removes it. Gratuity can also be configured so that it's automatically applied when a certain guest count limit is reached. You may have noticed when I started a table order, it had the guest count pulled up and told me to put however many guests will be seating at that table. I just gave it a number, and that's what number it's going to go off of. If it's over a certain number, it'll automatically apply gratuity. Let's go back to the order, because next I want to talk about splitting the order. This is something that Labu does very well, though it does take some practice. There are 2 different ways you can split an order, and it's all about how you hit the split button. You can either swipe the split button, or you can tap it. If you swipe the split button, this is going to give you the option to split evenly or split by seat if you're using that functionality. Split evenly is really easy and fast. If I've got a table of 3 and they just want to split the order evenly, I would just say split evenly, and I would say I would want 3 checks. Now I have 3 checks of equal value. I could also use that feature, again, swiping the split button, to collapse all of these orders back into one single check, just saying I want 1 check. The other way you can split is to split by each individual item, and that's going to be done by tapping the split button. When I do that, I get these check marks along the left-hand side. I select the item or items that I want to split off onto a new check, hit split again, and that gives me the option to split to a new check. So now I have 1 check with 2 items on it, and the second check with just 1. This works great if you've got a table that just wants to pay for their own food. Another common scenario that we see come up a lot is a group of people that want to pay for their own food, but they also got an appetizer, so they want to split that. So I'll add an appetizer to the order here. And I'll do the exact same process to split this evenly across all checks. I'll tap split, tap my appetizer, tap split again, and I've got my split evenly option right there. That will automatically take that item and split it evenly across all the checks on the order. Now let's say only 2 people on this order split that appetizer. I can instead select multiple checks, and that's going to allow me to pick which specific checks I want to split the order between. This is just a few examples of how the split feature can be used to split up your order. There are tons of other applications. You can move items around. You can move items to new orders or existing orders if you have a server that added it to the wrong order on accident. All of these things are able to be done through the split feature. It takes a little bit of practice, but after you've done a few orders, you really start to learn that workflow. It becomes really easy and really fast. Let's stray away from the menu for a little bit. I want to talk about logging in again, something that we talked about right at the beginning. When I first logged in, I used a username and password. That's typically something restaurant owners and your management staff are going to have. Your employees, servers, cashiers, bartenders likely won't have or know their username and password. Instead, what they'll know is their PIN. And their PIN is used for a number of purposes. First and foremost is signing into the application. This is the PIN pad screen. Whenever you see this screen, you're logged into your restaurant account still, but there's no active employee using the point of sale. So if I want to get logged in, I don't need my username and password. I just need my PIN number. PIN number is also really important for a lot of other features, like access to apply refunds, voids, and discounts if you have those locked behind permissions, but also for your time clock feature. If you're going to use Labu to help with payroll, you'll want your employees to clock in and out on the point of sale. There's two places they can do this. I'll bring up the navigation menu, and you'll see time clock right down there towards the bottom. Again, enter your passcode, and it gives you the option based on whether or not you are clocked in already. There is the second area that we can clock in and out, and that's actually on the PIN pad screen. If you notice in the top right corner, there is a clock icon. I tap on that, and it gives me the same option, put in my passcode to clock in or out. Moving into some of the more manager features, I have a couple of things that I can do from the side navigation bar. The first is the orders page. This is going to give a restaurant manager a great idea as to which orders are currently open and how many you have, how many orders have been closed, and how many have been voided. Voided is a permanent action, so keep that in mind whenever you're choosing to void an order from the checkout screen. If I'm looking at my closed orders, I do have the ability to reopen them using that pencil icon, the top center of the screen. This is really helpful for providing refunds if you need to. To provide a refund, I'll just go ahead and reopen this order here, take it to the checkout screen, and I'll just tap on the line where it says paid in cash. Here I'll get the option to process a refund. I'll need to put in a reason for it. And then it'll give me the option to either provide a full refund or a specific amount. I'll go ahead and do a full amount, and we can see that order is fully refunded. At this point, you'll need to either provide a discount to bring that amount due to $0 or provide a different payment method. Something we didn't go over in the checkout screen was actually this other button. This is a really popular method for paying out orders that you refunded. You can just say that the order was free of charge. Another option is, of course, is to discount it. But this other button is going to hold all of your alternative payment methods. Really common to see options like checks, gift cards, gift certificates, loyalty numbers, anything that you can imagine, you could make into a payment method here. So I've decided the customer wanted to pay with a check instead. One thing you'll notice is that this order has not closed. To manually close this order, I need to go into my order settings, which is the order ID in the top left corner. I'll tap on it here, and it brings up this additional page. And to manually close the order, I'll just tap here to close the order. There are a lot of other features that exist in that area. For example, changing the owner of the order, changing the table that the order is attached to, changing the tab name if that needs to be adjusted. No matter what, those settings will live there, no matter where you're accessing them from, whether it's the checkout screen, quick serve, tables, or tabs. Coming back to the side navigation bar, let's talk about functions very briefly. This is an area where a lot of manager functions are going to exist. Register functions is one of those areas that you're going to use to attach the iPad to a particular receipt printer. It's how you're going to open the cash drawer that's connected to that receipt printer, print your summaries, run deposits, and pay-ins and payouts. Server functions is going to be really helpful for your wait staff, printing their own server summary, which among other things is going to include their tipping information, and also the server tips page itself. Here I can go to adjust, add, or remove tips from any of my own orders. Managers with access to the control panel will have the ability to view anyone's orders and adjust tips in any way, again, from the control panel. That accessibility does not exist in the point of sale. If we take a look at manager functions, we have access to a number of management tools. We have access to print any of our employees' server summaries. We also have access to the X and Z report, which provide high-level reporting information about how the restaurant performed for that day. And of course, we also have some EMV reader functionality here, which you can learn more about later on. Under management tools, there's a number of features that you can use. The most Important ones, in my opinion, are going to be the cash reconciliation and server reconciliation. These tools help you to manage your cash drawer. You'll till in at the beginning of the day, giving it a specific dollar amount. And with that till started, now any cash transactions, refunds, card tips, payments and payouts, anything like that that is done will be recorded here. And at the end of the day, I would go through the exact same process just through tilling out, and it'll give me a comparison based on what Labu calculated I should have in the cash drawer versus what I actually had in the cash drawer. Both of these tools work the same way, but are used under different circumstances. Cash reconciliation should be used if you have a community drawer or multiple employees working off of the same cash till. Server reconciliation is better used for that one-to-one ratio, where you have one server that is assigned to one specific cash till and no one else is allowed to use it. Lastly is item availability. This is an optional feature that you can choose to have enabled, but this is a way that you can control, obviously, the availability of your items. If you have something marked out as sold out indefinitely or sold out until tomorrow, it will be unavailable to select, and you can do this for your menu items or any of your modifiers. This is a great alternative to inventory or other inventory platforms that you might want to link to Labu. If you just need something really simple and easy to use, and most importantly, accessible from the point of sale, item availability is the way to go. One of the last areas we'll take a look at is the settings. The About page just gives you basic information about what version of the application you use. Nothing that's going to be really important for a day-to-day operation. What will be really important is the second option, Reload Settings. Anytime you make a change to your control panel, whether it's to your menu, to your employee profiles, you're going to want to reload settings on each and every iPad in your restaurant. This is what's going to grab that new information and make sure the point of sale is working with the most up-to-date information. The point of sale is smart enough to know when changes have been made, so you'll be prompted automatically to reload. This is just a way that you can manually do it. If you're sitting right there with your control panel and iPad next to each other, you can reload right away to see those changes. Printers and displays. This is a section where you can go to set up your printer profiles. If you work with our onboarding team or customer care teams, they're likely going to do this from the control panel instead, as there's more customization, more options to fine tune it to what exactly you need. And also, when it comes to kitchen printers, you're going to need to assign those in your menu anyway, which can only be done in the control panel. Last thing in settings is this globe icon. This is how you can change the language for the point of sale. So if you have a multilingual staff, you can accommodate those that feel more comfortable reading these options in whatever language they prefer. Last thing I'll show you before we wrap up is logging out. This is something we recommend you do at the end of every night, just so that you start each morning with a fresh connection to the internet and the Labu cloud server. To do that, I'm going to tap on that menu, and right at the very top is exit location. This is how you will sign out of your restaurant location completely. To sign back in, you'll need your username and password. So I'll tap exit location, tap yes. We'll be brought back to the tablet screen, so you can quickly switch back and forth between terminal and table side if you need to. But if I close this, I'm brought back to this screen, and I'll need to sign in with my username and password to get logged back in. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next session where we tour the control panel.